Hi, everyone. I'm just stopping by to bring you up to date on what I've been doing lately. Making a lot of programs for the radio, and they're good ones. I'm also going back to some programs that I made in 2022 because they're just excellent, especially programs about negative thoughts, about thoughts in general. See, most of us have the idea that everything that we think is our own, that we came up with it ourselves. But for the most part, frankly, the things that we think are things that we've been either programmed with or it's not our thoughts. A lot of people become aware. See, some people are not aware at all. There's a thought in their mind and they think it's their thought, and so they follow it. Or they feel guilty for it, but often it's not our thought at all. And it becomes very obvious that it's not our thoughts at certain times. For example, let's say you became really resentful at somebody, really, really resentful. Then there's a good chance that into your mind would come very negative, hurtful, destructive, mean, and creatively cruel thoughts. Things to say to that person that would hurt them. And sometimes they're very clever and they come really fast. Where'd that come from? Now, here's the thing. Most of us, when we have those thoughts, we don't follow up on them. Although some of us very foolishly do, especially when they're not super negative. Thought pops into your mind and you say it. And it's the wrong thing, the wrong timing. There's temptation in it. You don't even realize that there's temptation in it, but there is. And you see your kids reacting. You see other people reacting. It's because they see the temptation. They see the malevolence in it. They see the cruelty in it. And we don't want to face that fact that our thoughts are not our own. It's disturbing to us. We want to think that everything that we think is our own. But it's helpful to begin to consider. Let me put it that way. Just consider that maybe the thoughts that you have are not your own. Just consider that. And it's very helpful to consider that when, for example, you have a thought that's really blasphemous or really awful. If you feel bad about it, or it makes you feel guilty, or you're embarrassed by the thought. Well, the reason that you don't like the thought or push it aside or are embarrassed by it is because it's not your thought. See, if it was really your thought, then you'd be fine with it. But it's not your thought. And so what's the word I'm looking for? You're troubled by it. There's a word. There's a way of saying it. You're troubled by it. So you're troubled by the thought because it's not your thought. And here's another thing to consider. If it was really your thoughts, you could stop them at will. But you can't. They keep coming back, or they come out of nowhere. So just consider that fact and realize that, so that's very helpful. So what do? All right, so here, let's get right to the bottom line before I go on too long, because my radio program's about that. Incidentally, you really should listen to my radio programs. It's called Shedding Shackles. Shedding Shackles. And amazingly, they're available just about anywhere that you get your podcasts. So whether it's iHeart or Spotify or SoundCloud or Apple or, all of them, there they are, Shedding Shackles. And the program is very, very good. So anyway, around now, the next week or two, or over the past week or two and the next week or two. So this period of January, late December, January, I'm doing some programs on that topic. And I put some of it up on YouTube also. But you really ought to listen to them. But anyway, so what do you do about it? So you have negative thoughts, mean thoughts. See, so they're mean toward other people, but they're also self-destructive. Or they say bad things about you. The voice in your mind. See, there it is, the voice in your mind. And what I always say, and this is also helpful for people, this is helpful. God rarely talks to us with words. Mostly, he shines his light upon things so that you can see and things become clear. So that's also helpful.